Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we're taking a deep dive into one of the most fascinating eras in automotive history, the 1970s, and more specifically, the legendary sleepers that quietly ruled the streets during that decade. These were the cars that looked ordinary, sometimes even boring, but hid serious performance under the hood. No wild stripes, no massive spoilers, no flashy badges screaming for attention. Just pure, unexpected power waiting for the right moment to be unleashed. The 1970s were a strange and complicated time for performance cars. Muscle cars had peaked in the late 60s, and then everything changed. Emissions regulations tightened, insurance premiums skyrocketed, and the oil crisis forced manufacturers to rethink power, efficiency, and image. Horsepower numbers dropped fast, and many enthusiasts thought the golden age was over. But while the spotlight faded, something interesting happened in the shadows. Automakers began creating cars that didn't look fast, but absolutely were. That's where the sleeper concept truly came alive. A sleeper isn't about flexing at a stoplight. It's about surprise. It's about the guy next to you thinking he's lined up against a grocery getter or a family sedan, only to watch your taillights disappear when the light turns green. In the 1970s, sleepers weren't a trend, they were almost accidental masterpieces created during a time of compromise. One of the most iconic sleeper platforms of the decade was the humble full-size sedan. Think about cars like the Chevrolet Malibu, the Pontiac Le Mans, or the Ford Torino. On the outside, they looked like something your parents might drive to work or the grocery store. But underneath, some of these cars could be ordered with big block V8s that still packed serious torque. A Malibu with a 454 under the hood was no joke, even if it wore hubcaps and a bench seat. Then there were the station wagons. Yes, wagons. The 1970s produced some of the most deceptively fast family haulers ever made. Cars like the Oldsmobile Vista Cruiser or the Buick Sport Wagon could be optioned with powerful V8s, rear-wheel drive, and heavy-duty suspensions. To the untrained eye, they were family haulers loaded with groceries and kids. To those in the know, they were rolling muscle cars in disguise. What made sleepers in the 1970s especially interesting was how manufacturers tried to hide performance in plain sight. Muscle car branding was starting to hurt insurance rates, so automakers often downplayed performance packages. Engines were detuned on paper, but real-world performance told a different story. Torque curves were fat and usable, perfect for real-world driving and stoplight surprises. Another key part of the sleeper story was how enthusiasts modified their cars. The aftermarket scene exploded during the 1970s, and car owners got creative. A plain-looking sedan could receive a hotter cam, better carburetor, upgraded ignition, and suddenly become a street terror. The beauty of a sleeper was that you didn't need flashy paint or loud exhausts. In fact, the quieter and more subtle, the better. The fuel crisis of the mid-1970s also played an unexpected role. As fuel economy became a concern, many high-performance models were discontinued or toned down. This pushed performance-minded drivers toward cars that didn't raise red flags. A mid-size sedan with a V8 suddenly made more sense than a flashy muscle car that screamed gas guzzler. That shift helped cement the sleeper philosophy into car culture. One of the coolest aspects of 1970s sleepers is how they represent rebellion in subtle form. While muscle cars of the late 60s shouted their intentions, sleepers whispered them. They were for the drivers who didn't need validation. People who loved the element of surprise. People who understood that true performance didn't need to announce itself. The interiors of these cars tell a story too. Bench seats, column shifters, basic gauges, and nothing about them suggested speed. Yet under the hood could be a big block V8 with enough torque to roast the rear tires effortlessly. That contrast is what made sleepers so special. They were contradictions on wheels. As the decade went on, emissions equipment and lower compression ratios made raw power harder to come by. But clever engineering and tuning kept the spirit alive. Some engines responded incredibly well to minor modifications, and savvy owners knew exactly which models had potential. It wasn't about what the badge said, it was about what the engine could do. Today, 1970s sleepers have gained a cult following. Enthusiasts hunt for clean, unassuming cars from the era and build them into modern sleepers using updated driver trains, suspension, and brakes. From the outside, they still look like time capsules. Underneath, they can outrun modern performance cars with ease. That blend of nostalgia and surprise is what keeps the sleeper culture alive. What makes the 1970s so special in this story is that it represents a transition period. It was the bridge between the raw muscle era and the more refined performance world that followed. Sleepers thrived in that space because they weren't trying to prove anything. They just worked. There's something deeply satisfying about a car that doesn't need to shout to be respected. In a world where attention is often everything, the sleeper stands as a reminder that real power doesn't need to be loud. It just needs to be real. So when you see an old sedan cruising down the road, faded paint, stock wheels, maybe even a vinyl top, don't underestimate it. There's a good chance you're looking at a piece of history, a machine built during a time when performance had to hide in plain sight. The 1970s sleepers weren't just cars. They were statements. Quiet, confident, and unforgettable. And that's what makes them legendary. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of 1970s sleepers, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below telling us which sleeper you'd build if you had the chance. Until next time, keep it low-key, keep it fast, and we'll see you in the next one.